Well, this morning we're joined by digital media expert John McCulley from Moxley Carmichael explaining Plandids, which this totally threw me off when I read it earlier. I'm like, wait, what's a Plandid? It's a candid that is planned. And I think we probably see a lot more of these than we realize on social media.
If the background looks perfect and the scenery looks perfect and that pose is just on point, you know. And if you see a picture of me, you know, my chin's down and I've sucked in real good, then, you know, it's a Plandid.
Got it. Okay, so how do you take and post the perfect Plandid?
Well, it's really about the planning part of it. The front end of this is all the importance. So what you want to pay attention to first is who's going with you, because getting your hand out way out here and then trying to take a candid photo and your body look in a natural position isn't going to work. You know, you've got to really have somebody sitting back or a tripod, you know, some remote setup to help you get that right shot. So you really want to take somebody with you that knows what they're doing, knows what you're trying to capture, and really plan it well.
Okay.
The second thing you want to think about is scenery. What's in the background? Because, you know, as you've seen all the memes and all the funny videos, the right thing in the background of your photo can make you a YouTube star. So you really want to make sure what's in the background, especially if you're trying to take something of, you know, the mountains or the ocean, things like that. You know, just make sure what's in the background, what you're capturing, and how it's going to look framed up with you.
Use burst mode?
Use burst mode, because what that's going to allow you to do is get a more natural pose, because when you start out, you're going to be stiff, you're going to be kind of controlled. What you want to do is use that burst mode, or have your friend use the burst mode, so that you end up in a more natural, you know, you're breathing normal pose, you know, so that you're not like, you know, and turning red in the face, you know. So you want to make sure that you get that perfect pose with that burst mode. And the burst mode's easy to use on the camera, on most cameras, by just holding down that shutter button.
I love this. Vary up your facial expressions. You want to like surprise face? Is this like what?
Well, think about when you're looking at something and you're just naturally breathing and looking and you're feeling what you're at. You know, capturing a sunrise for your Instagram, you don't want to be looking at the camera cheesing like you just won the lottery. You know, you really want to feel that emotion and capture that emotion, because the best Plandids, and you've seen tons of them on your Instagram, the best ones are the ones where you feel like you're there with that person and you feel like you can feel what they're feeling.
That's interesting. You know what, I love the scenery shots with the person in the foreground. I think they're really kind of fun to see.
Yeah.
So I like that they made so much effort to take a candid.
It's very, you know, it's kind of that kind of special voyeuristic, that's not a bad thing, you know, where you're kind of, I'm there on the beach with them, or I'm there at the lake with them, I'm sharing that moment with them, I'm sharing that emotion, so they're very fun.
Are you going to hashtag it Plandid and give up the fact that you totally planned the candid?
You absolutely should, or else, you know, the onslaught of comments are going to be that, oh, this is staged, you know, this isn't, you know, real, so on and so forth. Tell people what you did, that you planned that shot because you wanted to share that emotion with them. You know, turn it into a real moment, you know, and make them understand, yeah, I planned this, I wanted you to feel what I felt then. So
that's cool.
Definitely hashtag it Plandid.
We know probably a lot of people are using these. Are companies using them too in their marketing campaigns?
Absolutely, you know, because that raw emotional photo is really hard to capture at a photo shoot, you know. So those Plandids, especially with cameras these days, taking these high-res photos, they're great advertising and marketing photos. That's
great, and maybe we can take some of those when the eclipse comes around on next Monday, August 21st.
Hopefully, if you've got one of the newer cameras, you can actually, your shutter will actually capture it, maybe all the way, but you know, you just got to make sure that you do it the right way.
Yeah, it's going to be cool. All right, John, good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Thanks for being here.